Namaste, Swami.
Namaste. Namaste to all. We'll start. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sahana Bhavatu Sahanu Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Aviravirmayedhi. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.
Pranam Maharaj.
Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tam Agocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Let we be protected, let we be nourished. Let we strive with energy and vigor. Let our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. Om peace, peace, peace. Lead us to truth and not to untruth. Lead us to enlightenment and not ignorance. Lead us to immortality and not death. Let the self-manifest Atman grow in me. Om peace, peace, peace. I bow to Govinda, whose nature is bliss supreme, who is the Sadguru, who can be known only from the import of all Vedanta, and who is beyond the reach of speech and mind. So namaste to all of you. Vivekachudamani is a wonderful primer. It's the first, we can say, here the basics are explained. The Vedanta philosophy. What is Vedanta? How one should go about it. And it is very poetic also, poetically represented. And in a question and answer way, so whatever doubts come to the mind of a disciple, those doubts are cleared. So that is why it is very, very important. Why it is required? As we know, everything is mixed up here. It's very difficult to separate. Sri Ramakrishna would say, Balite chinite mishache. So sugar and sand is mixed together. We have to discard the sand and we have to take the sugar portion. And this is, and Bhagavan also said, that this Maya is difficult to cross over. So, because we see something, but behind this scenario and in and through this scenario, there is something which we don't see. So, by the grace of Guru, we are trained to see that which pervades everything. So, it is the grace of Guru that's very important. Otherwise, it's difficult, it is impossible to even comprehend. Human intellect is limited. Even we don't understand how this works, how this whole world is running so smoothly. And so apparently it is chaotic, but actually it is so symphony-like. How it is working, we don't understand. And then not only that, the inquiry has gone up to that we don't know what it is there. We may think that it is thus, it is there. You see, we hear, we touch and taste everything. But in reality, it is something else, seeming. In our dream also we see, hear, touch, taste. But then when we wake up, then it is all gone. And science is also trying to figure it out. So now we can see and hear. Now very soon the order also will be added. And maybe three-dimensional, that also will be added. Already it is there. So what I'm saying, that even this physical world cannot be understood with this limited understanding. How can we understand that is so subtle? Anoraniyan, Mahato Mahya. So which is subtler than the subtlest and which is the greater than the greatest? How can that be understood? It's difficult. Only by the grace of Guru, by the grace of God, we can have a glimpse. And that also we need to have total dedicated effort, one-pointed effort to actualize, to realize that truth. That is why it's very important that we are studying this. So before we go to the text, let us read from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. David.
We all understand that desires are wrong. But what is meant by giving up desires? How could life go on? It would be the same suicidal advice, killing the desire in the man too. The solution is this: not that you should not have property, not that you should not have things which are necessary, and things which are even luxuries. Have all that you want and more, only know the truth and realize it. Wealth does not belong to anybody. Have no idea of proprietorship, possessorship. You are nobody, nor am I, nor anyone else. All belongs to the Lord, because the opening verse told us to put the Lord in everything. God is in the wealth that you enjoy. He is in the desire that rises in your mind. He is in the things you buy to satisfy your desire. He is in your beautiful attire, in your beautiful ornaments. This is the line of thought. All will be metamorphosed as soon as you begin to see things in that light. If you put God in your every movement, in your conversation, in your form, in everything, the whole scene changes, and the world, instead of appearing as one of woe and misery, will become a heaven.
Okay, so here I think Swamiji is indicating that one. Isha vastyamidagam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma grudha kasya siddhanam. Even this wealth is also, everything belongs to God. So Isha vasyam, that is why what we have to do, that we have to cover everything by Lord. Does it mean that we are imposing, we are covering? No, it is the reality that everything is pervaded by Him. What we are trying to see that truth. Isavasyam idagam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha. So by sacrificing, by offering, you enjoy. It is better, say like a mother. Mother when feeds other, she feels joy. So giving importance to others, that gives joy. Sacrificing oneself. Shuni that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayer, that Trinadapi Suni Chena Taroriva Shahishnuna Amani Namanudena Kirtaniya Sadahari. That means one should be forbearing like tree, or no, like Trinadapi. One should be lowly like a blade of grass. And one should be forbearing like a tree. And one should give honor to those who are bereft of any honor, who are lacking, who don't get enough honor. And Kirtaniya Sadahari, and all the time one should sing the glories of God, recite the name of God. So this way we have to see that it is God who is pervading everything. So that is what is being said here. Yes.
The kingdom of heaven is within you, says Jesus. So says the Vedanta and every great teacher. He that hath eyes to see, let him see, and he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. The Vedanta proves that the truth for which we have been searching all this time is present and was all the time with us. In our ignorance, we thought we had lost it, and went about the world crying and weeping, struggling to find the truth, while all along it was dwelling in our own hearts. There alone we can find it.
So
If
we are even we are established in Brahman. Apparently we are not aware, but we are being held by this earth, and earth is held by Vishnu, all pervading. God is holding us all the time, but we are not aware. Only we are to be aware that we are being held by God. Yes.
If we understand the giving up of the world in its old crude sense, then it would come to this, that we must not work, that we must be idle, sitting like lumps of earth, neither thinking nor doing anything, but must become fatalists, driven about by every circumstance, ordered about by the laws of nature, drifting from place to place. That would be the result. But that is not what is meant. We must work. Ordinary mankind, driven everywhere by false desire, what do they know of work? The man propelled by his own feelings and his own senses, what does he know about work? He works who is not propelled by his own desires, by any selfishness whatsoever. He works who has no ulterior motive in view. He works who has nothing to gain from work. Who enjoys the picture, the seller or the seer? The seller is busy with his accounts, computing what his gain will be. how much profit he will realize on the picture. His brain is full of that. He is looking at the hammer and watching the bids. He is intent on hearing how fast the bids are rising. That man is enjoying the picture, who has gone there without any intention of buying or selling. He looks at the picture and enjoys it. So this whole universe is a picture. And when these desires have vanished, men will enjoy the world. And then this buying and selling and these foolish ideas of possession will be ended. The money lender gone, the buyer gone, the seller gone, this world remains the picture, a beautiful painting. I never read of any more beautiful conception of God than the following. He is the great poet, the ancient poet. The whole universe is his poem, coming in verses and rhymes and rhythms, written in infinite bliss. When we have given up desires, then alone shall we be able to read and enjoy this universe of God. Then everything will become deified. Nooks and corners, byways and shady places, which we thought dark and unholy, will all be deified. They will all reveal their true nature, and we shall smile at ourselves and think that all this weeping and crying has been but child's play, and we were only standing by, watching. So do your work, says the Vedanta. It first advises us how to work by giving up the apparent, elusive world. What is meant by that? Seeing God everywhere. Thus do you work.
Once I was in Rajamundry, no, Vijayawada. So it's a beautiful place. So when I was talking to some students, I said, see, this is a very beautiful place. But the potato sellers, they don't see this because their attention is in potatoes and to sell those. Similarly, as Swamiji also gave example, that those who are selling a picture, they are busy with the amount that is going up. But those who are really connoisseur or those who understand art, they are busy with this understanding and also the value of art. What does it mean? Does it mean that Swamiji is talking about this external art? Not really. He's talking about the all-pervading, the truth that is underlying this. So this we have to understand. And it is not the apparent world, but behind this world, what is real. So this is what we have heard from Swamiji. Now same thing we'll do here. Now one thing, all our understanding depends on three, especially Vedantic scriptures. We follow three items. One is Shruti, whatever scripture says, and Yukti, that means the rational understanding, and third is Anubhuti. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Anubhuti means one's own experience. And it is said that Yukti Vihinam, Yukti Hinam Vachastasya, no, Vachastajyam, Vriddhad api Shugad api. If there is no reasoning, there is no logical conclusion, even if a wise old man is saying, or even Shukadeva is saying, that is to be thrown away. Yukti hinam vachastajyam vriddhad api shukat api. And yukti yuktam vacho grahyam. And if it is logical, if it is if it is supported by logic, that is to be taken. Even if a child is telling balyad api baladapi shukadapi, even a parrot says, if it is with logic and with intellectual conviction, that is to be taken. And therefore, one is intellectual understanding. So Shruti, Yukti. Yukti has got very valid point, and Anubhuti. So we don't take anything without intellectual understanding, robust intellect. That is very important. And then secondly, pramana. Pramana. Pramesiddhi pramanat hi. So, see, somebody says that Agni Shitalam, fire is cold. You are to experience. If it is really, when you put your hand, how you feel? Fire cannot be cold. So, pramana, this is pratyaksha pramana. Pramana is very important. Pratyaksha pramana. But sometimes we see whatever we see, it is not the real case. So we have to apply logic behind it. We have to try to understand logically. So this we have already studied. So let us go to our text. I'll read from 437. Though we have already done, but it is always better that we start a bit early. 473. So it says, Samadhina sadhu vinishchalatmana pashyatma tattvam sputa bodha chakshusha nishamshayam samyak avekshitah chet shrutah padartho na punar vikalpate. So it says, through samadhi, then what is this? It is one's own experience in which the mind has been perfectly stilled. Why we cannot see this? Because the mind is not still. Mind is in waves all the time. Visualize the truth of the self with the eye of clear realization. So this is a difficult proposition. When our mind is still, then only it flushes, it reveals itself. Otherwise, mind is wavering all the time. If the meaning of the scriptural words heard from the Guru is perfectly and indoubitably discerned, then it can lead to no more doubt. So one thing that the Mahavakya, that Aham Brahmasmi or Tat Tvam Asi, one has to know the meaning, then contemplate on it and realize it. So this is the 3 steps: Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. So Samadhi, that means Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when mind is totally still. And by that mind, one should see through the eyes of knowledge, through the eyes of wisdom. And one should hear this from Guru and Shastra. it is not studying a book or not hearing casually Mahavakyas, but one should hear this with Shraddha. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparah sanyatindriya. So one thing is one should have that Shraddha, and the second, he should be totally poised to have it. And whatever he heard from Shruti and Gurus, he must have total faith in it. Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satyabuddhya Avadharanam. Then only one realizes this truth, and then without any doubt. So we go to the next. Swasya avidya bandha sambandha mokshat satya jnanananda rupatma labdhau shastram yukti deshikokti pramanam chanta siddha sanubhuti pramanam. So in the realization of the Atman, the existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Through the breaking of one's connection with the bondage of avidya or ignorance, the scriptures, reasoning, and the words, that means Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti, of the Guru are the proofs, while one's own experience earned by concentrating the mind is another proof. So here Guru is encouraging the disciple, swasya avidya. So avidya, it is our own ignorance. And because of that avidya, there is bondage. Swasya avidya bandha sambandha mokshat. So when we are attached with this ignorance, and because of the ignorance we are bound, so when that bondage is gone, bondage of ignorance is gone, satya jnana ananda rupatma labdho. And then what happens? When this attachment is gone, attachment with the ignorance is gone, then we realize our true original nature, which is Satya, and which is knowledge itself, and which is bliss itself. And Shastram Yuktihi Deshikoktihi Pramanam. So Shastra from scriptures, and Deshikokti means the Guru, and also Yukti. Yukti is reasoning. These are the Pramana. Pramana is very important. So, what happens then? Cha antah siddha swanubhuti pramanam. With this, whatever is already within us, we realize that. And when we realize that, that is the pramana. Until or unless we realize, the even Guru is saying, even Shastra is saying all the time, that will not benefit us until or unless we realize this truth ourselves. So that is why one should engage, first hearing from the Guru, and then cogitating on it and try to realize it. And it is difficult to explain to others. That Guru says in the next shloka, Bandha moksha cha triptischa chinta arogya kshudadaya svinaiva vidya yajnanam paresham anumanikam. See, suppose, now let me first read the translation, then it will be easier. Bondage, liberation, satisfaction, anxiety, recovery from illness, hunger, and other such things are known only to the man concerned, and knowledge of these to others is a mere inference. So, bondage, when I am in bondage, I only can know that I am in bondage. Nobody else can understand. And if I got freedom, liberation, it is the person who knows. It is not given to others that they understand. Similarly, when we eat, we are satisfied. So whether I am satisfied or not, only the person can understand. I can understand, not others. So triptishcha, chinta. If I have some worry, I only can understand. And if I am free from disease, I only can understand. It is not that other people can understand fully. They can infer. So even Jivan Mukta, the state of Jivan Mukta, cannot be understood by others. It is the person who has realized the truth only can understand. Srinaiva Vidya Yas Jnanam Paresham Anumanikam. Many things are, we can verify, verifiability. So we cannot verify this because it is subjective. And something we can infer which are universal. But this is subjective. It is not that we can understand through some other means. And once one attains this, it cannot be falsified. Whereas empirical knowledge can be falsified. But this cannot be falsified. And another thing, that repeatability. Say in this world, we can repeat something, but this cannot be repeated by our own will. It happens to whom it happens. It is not that we produce in other. So this is important, because all our confusion starts, we have many doubts also. That if it is happening to someone, why I am not getting it? It is not repeatable that way. And even we cannot verify this, because it is not object. It is subjective understanding, subjective realization. So this is totally subjective. See, we see something, and after seeing this, we can imagine something which may be true, may not be true. While driving, we may see some water, but it is not true that it is water there. So it is not this knowledge, which is totally subjective, cannot be imagined, cannot be inferred. It is experienced by oneself. It is totally subjective. So we go to the next. See why it is so. That is why if someone is experiencing, say someone is eating sugar, and other person has not tasted sugar, he cannot explain how sugar tastes like. So it can be experienced by the subject, the person, and whatever he experiences, It cannot be transmitted, and even other person cannot even imagine. One may infer if he has tasted something else like that, he can infer a little, but it cannot be totally imagined. Now we go to the next. Tatasthita bodhayanti guravah shrutayo jatha pragyayaiva tarit vidwan ishwarat anugrahitaya. Very important. Wonderful. So even gurus or scriptures, they are indicating from distance. Tatasthita, standing on the shore, they are indicating. So that means, let me read the translation first, then it will be clear. The gurus as well as the Shrutis, the scriptures, instruct the disciple standing aloof while the man of realization crosses. Crosses what? Avidya. Through illumination alone, backed by the grace of God. So here, so gurus, it is not that, if someone, say guru wants to eat, you are not satisfied unless you yourself eat. So guru will tell it is good to eat. And why it is good? It will nourish you. It will make you free from hunger. He can try. But all these are from distance, from tata. Tata means standing on shore. It is the disciple who has to perform and who has to eat himself, experience himself. And it is his effort that will bring. It's not that Guru can feed you. And we say, Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam. Yes, Guru has graced us because he has instructed this. Otherwise, we don't know. It is so precious that we don't understand. We don't know. Guru is like a good physician. He first instructs and then he tries to make us understand why it is good. Like that three physician, the second middle kind of or mediocre kind of physician will tell, here is the prescription. But better physician will make you understand why it is good. And my good man, take this medicine, otherwise how can you get cured? But the greater guru or the highest kind of physician is he who, if required, he will sit on your chest and push the medicine through. But even, like this same question was asked to Sri Ramakrishna. So that means he can do something. Sri Ramakrishna said, suppose that Guru pushed the medicine, but he threw it, or it came out through the side of his mouth. So Gurus only try. It is the self that should try. That means Atma Kripa, self grace. As we know, there are four graces. One is Ishwara Kripa, God's grace, Guru Kripa, Guru's grace, Shastra Kripa, Shastra's grace, and Atma Kripa. So all three kripas, all three graces are already there. It is the self grace that is important. Until or unless we have that grace, we cannot attain this. So tatasthita bodhayanti guravaha shrutayo yatha pragyayaiva. Now what is that? Prajna. With self-effort, one refines one's wisdom. Even this worldly wisdom is nothing. Refined wisdom. Pragyayaiva taret vidwan. So with that, he can realize this. But Guru's grace is there. Guru kripahi kevalam. Guru is also there. Without his Guru, without the grace of Guru, nothing happens. God's grace is also there. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Iva Kevalam. Kalu nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatirannatha. So, Tarit Vidwan Ishwaranugrahitaya. So, Guru's grace, God's grace, these are important. But one's own grace is also important. So, just again, we'll read it again. Yeah. The Gurus as well as the Shrutis instruct the disciple standing aloof, means standing on the shore, while the man of realization crosses avidya through illumination alone, backed by the grace of God and grace of Guru. We go to the next. Swanubhutya swayam gyatva swatmanam akhanditam samsiddha sammukham tishthet nirvikalpat kalpatmana atmani. So Swanubhutva, himself knowing his indivisible self through his own realization. So it is the realization of oneself. Sri Ramakrishna started his worship of Mother Kali, but he was not satisfied. And at the end, when Mother Kali, and he wanted to cut his throat, Sri Ramakrishna wanted to cut his throat. And that moment, Mother revealed herself, and Sri Ramakrishna realized. So himself knowing his individual self through his own realization and thus becoming perfect, a man should stand face to face with the Atman. So Sri Ramakrishna stood face to face with the self, with his mind free from dualistic ideas. You see, here there may be some liking. So dualistic, here we are studying a scripture which is non-dualistic in nature. So he'll always stretch that. But we are devotees. What happens to us? So we tell in a different way. As a disciple want to submit everything to God. So here we can understand from this standpoint. The disciple wants to have a little difference. This is me and that is you. As Ramakrishna gave an example. A great expanse of water, and he puts a hand and says, this is me and that is you. But that mark is short-lived. So chini hote chai na ma, chini khete bhalobashi. I don't want to be sugar. I want to taste sugar. So that is the attitude of a devotee. But still that devotee, what happens? That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he asked Rai Ramananda, so what is the way? Sri Chaitanya asked him. So he started, by that outer worship, ritualistic worship started. He said, Deho bajjo, age koho ar. This is outer. Please tell me more. Then he went further and further. And where he said that like attitude of a friend, attitude of Shanta Dasya, okay, Vatsalya. But he says, this is okay, but tell me more. And when he said Kanta Prem, the divine attitude of conjugal love, that is, then he said, Ehottam Age Kohar. So ultimately it is merging of the self, even from devotee's standpoint. Then also, Naham Ramani Natum Raman. So this is not different. That unity comes even through devotion. So here, because this is a Advaitic standpoint, but even from devotee's standpoint, it is unification. And what remains, remains. There is no difference there. So, Swanubhutya Swayam Gyatva Swatmanam Akhanditam Samsiddha Sammukham Tishtet Nirvikalpa Atmani Atmani. Himself knowing his individual self. Now here, even a devotee, when he merges in God, so pravishtum, even yatum drashtum pravishtum, that means we know, and then we see, and then we have to enter into him. So their devotee shudders, but even shuddering, ultimately one has to merge. So that is what is being said. Samsiddha sammukham tishtet nirvikalpa atmana atmani. So this is, it's difficult to imagine. But in our day-to-day life, we also experience such things. When we are awake, we are engaged in this world, in various objects of the world. And as we go to sleep, then this outer world disappears. Then we have the dream world. But in course of time, dream world also disappears. So we are in ourselves. Only that state happens in ignorance. But that is to be happen in knowledge. So even that self alone exists. The self alone abides. So samsiddha sammukham tishtet nirvikalpa atmana atmani. So nirvikalpa, there is no vikalpa. Ultimately that is the goal. From this standpoint, it looks like very difficult. Actually, when you love someone, in love, you are one with him or her. So we are to love God in such a way that we are no more different from him. So we'll go to the next. Hope there is no question. Okay, we go to the next. It's a difficult situation. As Sri Ramakrishna would say, she bado kothin thai, guru shishya dekha nai. That's a very difficult state when there is no meeting of, there is no appearance of guru and shishya. Because both merged. When Shukadeva went to Rajarshi Janaka for instruction, for spiritual instruction, because his father told, go to Janaka and he'll teach you. So Janaka asked, please give me my fees first, Guru Dakshina. Then he asked, why Guru Dakshina first? When I first you have to instruct me, then only I can give Guru Dakshina. He said, no. After that, there will be no guru, no shishya. So, she baro kothin thai, guru shishya dekha nai. That's a very difficult situation, difficult scenario when there is no guru, no shishya, all unified. So we go to the next, Vedanta Siddhanta Niruktiresha Brahmaiva Jivaha Sakalam Jagatcha Akhanda Rupa Sthitireva Moksho Brahmadvitiye Shrutayaha Pramanam. The verdict of all discussions on the Vedanta is that the Jiva and the whole universe are nothing but Brahman. Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. Neha Nanasti Kinchana. We see many. We don't need any ghost to tell us that this duality is there. It is our natural experience because our mind and also our senses go out. And when it goes, they go out, we see many, we experience many. But the thing is that we are to experience that unity which binds everything, which holds everything. That is the goal. So Vedanta Siddhanta Nirukti Resha. And even there is a shloka that yeah. So what is Jivan Mukta? It says Shiva eva sada jiva. So Shiva is Jiva all the time. Jiva eva sada Shiva. And this Jiva is always the Shiva. That means there are no difference. All unified. Vidyaika manayoho yastu saha jivan mukta. He who knows this. It is varieties are there in our front. But he who knows that it is nothing else but the divine itself, God himself, Brahman itself, he alone is Jivan Mukta. So here, that is the situation. Vedanta Siddhanta Nirukti Resha Brahmaiva Jivaha Sakalam Jagatcha. So all the Jagat, whatever is Gacchati iti Jagat, that means whatever trails away from us. We don't need any ghost to tell us that this world is trailing away from us. Every moment it is trailing away from us. So not only Jiva, all that exists, whatever exists, it is nothing else but God, or we can say Brahman. God is also, it is with Upadhi. Yeah, God is with Upadhi. Because we can indicate. But here Brahman is all pervading. That's why it is a different name is given. Vedanta Siddhanti Nirukti Resha. The verdict of all discussions on the Vedanta is that the Jiva and the whole universe are nothing but Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. All, Khalu means all, whatever is existing, it is nothing else but Brahman. Without Brahman, even we cannot imagine also. We are sitting somewhere. So without that, even holding something, we cannot exist. Nothing is Brahman, and that liberation means abiding in Brahman. The the indivisible entity. So what is that indivisible? It is avivaktam vivaktishu. We see divided, but we have to see what is not divided. Avivaktam vivaktishu. Yajnanam. So that is the knowledge. When we can see the indivisible in divided entity, that is the reality. Means abiding in Brahman, the indivisible entity. The Shrutis themselves are authority for the statement that Brahman is one without a second. So Brahmaiva Jivaha Sakalam Jagat. Only Jiva, not only Jiva, which are living, but all Jagat, everything. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman, Brahma. And Neha Nanasti Kinchana. Here there are not many. Akhanda Rupa Sthiti Reva Moksha. And that, what is moksha? Then there is no limiting adjunct. That means I am free, totally free. When it is akhanda, undivisible, without division, sthiti reva moksho, brahma dvitiye shrutayaha pramanam. Why it is so? Because Shruti also says this. So Shruti praman. It's not that he is giving his own woolly-headed idea. No. He is quoting Shruti. Shruti. Done?
The next chapter is attaining self-awakening. So we will go to the next chapter with the next chapter. If you want to start that, then or else we start.
This one also related. Iti Guru Vachanat Shruti Pramanat Param Avagamya Satatvatma Yuktaya Prashamita Karanaha Samahitatma Kvachit Achalakriti Atmanishtito Abhut. So realizing at the blessed moment the supreme truth through the above instructions of the Guru, the authority of the scriptures and his own reasoning, with his senses quieted and the mind concentrated, the disciple became immovable in front and perfectly established in the Atman. So here what happens? Great transformation happens to the disciple. Because his Guru is instructing and it's living. It is like Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. And Swamiji asked, Narendranath asked, Sir, have you seen God? And Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, I have seen God. And I see God. Not only I have seen, I see God. Only more prominently, distinctly. That means our perception of senses are not distinct. It is not that it is apparent. It is on the surface. But what the divine is, it is swataha swagya. That means it is self-evident and it is self-knowledge. It is direct. So, this is better knowledge than any apparent knowledge. So that is what happened to this disciple, because his Guru was instructing and his mind was pure. He had those qualifications. That means Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. So first, discrimination. What is real and what is not real. Then Ihamutra Phal in Ihamutra Phal, that means the renunciation. And then Shamadamadi Shat Sampatti. Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, the six. But the problem with us is we don't have all these qualifications. That is why it is beyond our reach. And mumukshutva, and desire to be free, strong desire to be free. So it is not point of argumentation, it is point of realization. And that is what happened to this disciple. As Guru instructed, he realized his own self and became stable, perfectly established in the Atman, immovable. He became immovable. Iti Guru Vachanat Shruti Pramanat Paramavargya Satatvatma Yuktya. So all the time he is united with the self. Prashamita Karanaha, and all instruments, all the avenues came to a standstill. Samahita Atma, and totally poised in the self. Vachit Achalakruti Ratma Nishtito Abhut, and he totally merged in the self. So it's a wonderful study. Only thing, we need to translate this study in our life. Then it is wonderful. So it is time, we'll say our prayer. Is there any question?
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
From 477, the verse where it said that a man should stand face to face with the Atman. Is he referring to that Jivatma should be standing face to face with Atman, or what Swamiji is trying to say here?
Yourself. Are you Jivatma or what?
I guess
Himself knowing his individual self, indivisible self. So one, the disciple means here Jivatma. Jivatma, not ordinary Jivatma, with Shamadamadi Shat Sampatti and Ihamutra Fal Bhog Virag and Nityanitya Vastu Viveka, Nityanitya Vastu Viveka, Ihamutra Fal Bhog Virag and Shamadamadi Shat Sampatta, Sampanna and Mumukshutva, who has this qualification. What happens to him? So he realizes his self, he stands in face to face with the self, his own self, as Sri Ramakrishna. Take us this. Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Mother Kali, and he was so keen that he used to weep for Mother. And that day, he was so keen that he didn't want to exist without Mother. So he wanted to kill himself. Such should be the urge. So such a person, he stands face to face. So Jivatma, of course Jivatma, but not ordinary Jivatma. We don't even think about it. We are so engrossed in this world that nothing exists other than this world. That's why, this is the shloka is 477. So all this has been discussed. Okay. So Jivatma, but with all these qualifications, then only he stands face to face with the self.
standing face to face, meaning merging himself into the consciousness.
Yes, yes. In yourself. Himself knowing his individual self, indivisible self, through his own realization, and thus becoming perfect. A man should stand face to face with the Atman or self, with his mind free from dualistic ideas. So we have discussed about even from devotee's standpoint. When there is no division, God and devotee become one. As we see in the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is totally immersed in self or God. Either way we can say. Sri Ramakrishna, for 6 months, he was in the state of Radha. And even he had no outer consciousness. And in Advaita Bhava also, for 6 months, he was in that state. And there was no sense of even having food or sustaining body. So Jivatma, of course Jivatma, but not ordinary Jivatma with all this qualification, right? So we see our prayer.
Swami, really quick, I'm so sorry.
Yes, please go ahead.
Apropos of the prior question in 77, it says, with his mind free from dualistic ideas. I thought dualism was one of the things that was supposed to be help people.
477.
At the end, 477, yes.
The same one. So please repeat because the sound is not very clear.
I'm so sorry. It's the same, it builds on the question you just answered, which was what a man should stand face to face with the Atman, with his mind free from dualistic ideas.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're in a non-dualistic class tonight, right?
Leaving aside dualistic idea.
So
Okay.
what I think Jen missed that discussion that here Shankaracharya is pushing its limits of non-dualism. That
Okay.
discussion, yeah.
Okay.
Repeat that.
They're pushing the dualism.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean he is pushing the stretching non-dualism. However you might put it.
Okay. So that's why even I explained, even from devotee's standpoint, there is no duality left. Even say like a worldly way, beloved and lover, when they are one, you see like Swami Vivekananda gave example. There was knock at the door. Who is there? I'm so and so, I'm so and so. Door was not opened. Then next time again door was knocked. Who is there? And he said, I'm related to you. The door was not opened. And the third time when he came and knocked the door, who is there? I'm thyself. Then door was opened. Even from devotee's standpoint, it is from a Farsi poem. So there comes unification. There is no two. Even worldly sense also. Even husband wife becomes one. That's why one family. After that, because of some other reasons, then they fight. That's a different story. But anyway, that it's not, free from dualistic ideas. That means unity is the ultimate goal. Even you see like this scientific study, what is the goal? To find that one unified whole, where everything is explained. Kasminnu bhagavate vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavati iti. By knowing what, I know everything. This is the quest, eternal quest for us. What is that unity? By knowing which we know everything. And that is, even in knowledge also, we become one. And in love also we become one. That is why from devotee's standpoint, that's why we say we are to submit ourselves, take refuge. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. Sharanam here, I'm separate. No, not like that. If there is even speak of differences, then you are not one. See, that's why two examples. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Ramakrishna, totally merged. They are not different. So that state happens. So the dualistic ideas go away. There is no dualistic idea.
Thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tatsat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. You know, in Bhakti Shastra also, Naham Raman, na tum Ramani. That means there is no duality. In Bhakti also it is so. In the beginning, they keep a difference, but ultimately it is all one. See Sri Ramakrishna's example. This is me and that's you, but what that mark goes away. Mark on water. Okay, thank you very much. Jai Ma.
Yeah, Maharaj.
Swami.
Jai Ma. Hari Om. But as of now, we have to keep this difference.
Sorry.
Otherwise, there will be a problem.
This